Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Smoke was rising, blocking out what should have been a warm summer's day. Ash was falling down from the smoke-filled sky, covering the ground like snow. Standing in the middle of the field with a black combat cloak on was a lone figure. Slowly he extended his gloved hand, catching a few bits of the falling ash in his hands. For a moment he looked at the ash before closing his fist. He turned his gaze to the east to see the remains of a small farming village. He could make out figures rushing around trying to put out the flames which had already destroyed the village. "What is it?" asked the figure as an all-black Anbu uniform appeared behind him. "The battle is over," reported the Anbu. "I can see that," said the cloaked figure without turning to face his Anbu captain. "How many did we lose?" "Early estimates are only 62 casualties with 120 wounded," reported the Anbu captain. "And the invasion force?" asked the cloaked figure. "Over 600," reported the Anbu captain as his cage shook his head a bit. "This isn't war, it is slaughter," replied the cage. "All they managed with this invasion was to destroy one of our small outlying villages and get their own ninjas killed." "You're always worried about them," stated the Anbu captain as he crossed his arms over his chest. "They were the ones who attacked us, and if I had my way we would be chasing their retreating army and destroying it right. End them now. Then it is a good thing you are not in command," reinforced the cloaked figure as he bent down and moved some of the ash off the body in front of him. He brushed away the ash from the face, showing a young man about 19 years old with a Leaf Village handband above his cold dead eyes. "You knew him?" asked the captain. "I had a few missions with him during the last war," explained the cloaked man. "He was back then." "He must have been good to be an Anbu now," stated the captain as he looked at the broken Anbu mask lying on the ground beside the dead body. "Not good enough to save his life," stated the cage. "However, I can't for the life of me remember his name." "Maybe it is for the best that you don't remember his name," stated the Anbu captain as the cage lowered his hood to show his deep blonde hair and his dark whisker marks ran across his checks. "Send a message to the allied shinobi force, tell them they can collect their dead but then they must leave our nation or be destroyed," ordered Naruto Namikaze. "They wouldn't give us the same terms," stated the Anbu captain as Naruto turned around to look into the pure black eyes of his former enemy, Sasuke Uchiha. For a moment both of them stared at each other with their slighted demon eyes which marked them both as demons joined with them. "Which makes us more human," explained Naruto. "Alright. Dead last but you know how I feel," stated Sasuke. "They will just keep coming back until either they find a way past our defenses and reach the village and kill every single one that is dead. It is either them or us. Wars can't go on forever," explained Naruto. "If we beat them enough they will sue for peace and we will come to terms. You just don't like the idea of fighting your old allies in the Leaf Village," stated Sasuke as Naruto lowered his head a bit. "You still haven't gotten over the idea that you are technically a missing ninja just like I was. You have to act as the leader of our village, not as a former ninja of the Leaf." "I know," stated Naruto as he looked out the field of dead bodies, moving though the field of death were medical teams from his village searching for the wounded from both sides and collecting their dead. "I just wonder how it came to this. I would have expected both of us to be trying to kill each other, not standing here as teammates against the Leaf and the other nations." "You already know that answer," replied Sasuke as he turned and started walking away, leaving Naruto alone. Slowly Naruto took off his forehead protector and simply looked at the symbol, a single solid circle with 4 small elongated diamonds radiating out in 45-degree angles from the center of the circle. "Sometimes I still think of myself as a Leaf ninja and not the cage of a whole new ninja village," admitted Naruto to himself as he put the headband back on, still wondering how it ever came to this. 5 years earlier, the early spring sunrise was passing through the thick navy blue curtains over the window of the 21-year-old hero of the village hidden in the leaves, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. He was known across the ninja world for being the container of the 9-tailed demon fox. The strongest of all the tailed beasts had been sealed within him just after his birth by his father, the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze. Naruto's head was spinning as he opened his deep blue eyes only to see his ceiling fan slowly turn around. When will that landlord fix the air conditioning? It seems to break every year, asked Naruto to himself as he remembered that the Leaf Village was in the middle of a heat wave. They had 3 days break 90th this week with the other days in the high 80s. The heat meant that all daytime training was cancelled and most of the people didn't come out till evening when the temperature began to drop. Maybe I should just buy my own place, I have the money and all. Naruto looked up again at the fan only to have his eyes lose focus as he watched the fan blades. I must have had a lot more to drink last night than I thought, admitted Naruto as he tried to think back to last night. Flashback. The sound of the music was loud enough to cause the beer to actually vibrate the glass bottle. Suddenly he felt a hand on his shoulder as he spun around only to see a man dressed mostly in black with dark gray fur lining his hood. Like most of the men in the room, he had on his green Johnning jacket on. Kiba, you shouldn't sneak up on me like that, said Naruto over the music as Kiba nodded his head. Sorry about that, fox boy, laughed Kiba as moved to stand beside his friend. Can I get a beer here? Sure, answered the bartender as she pulled out a cold beer bottle from an ice cooler located under a wooden bar. Kiba reached to pay only to get waved off by the bartender. Beer is on the house. It isn't every night we host a victory party. Thanks, answered Kiba as he lifted the beer to his lips and took a long drink. When he lowered his drink back onto the countertop, he looked toward the last Namikaze. What the hell is wrong with you? We won, you should be drinking, partying and maybe looking for a piece of ass. Naruto simply laughed a bit at Kiba's words. Knowing that of all his friends Kiba was the most active when it came to sexual matters, but his longest-lasting girlfriend was only 9 months. Not all of us are looking for more than a piece of ass, Kiba, explained Naruto. I know, but you no longer have any excuses for not accepting every one of the girls who have asked you out, explained Kiba, knowing that Naruto had turned down more dates than all his male friends had ever been on. The war is over now, so you can't use it as an excuse. Madara and the Akatsuki may have been taken care of, but Sasuke is still out there and so is Kabuto. The war isn't over until they are taken care of, explained Naruto, knowing that those two were still at large somewhere out there in the war-torn world. Come on, the war is 98% over then. Sasuke is on the run somewhere after you kick his ass, and Kabuto is a snake who is hiding in the deepest, darkest hole he can find. Give it time and he will poke his head up and then we can kill him, explained Kiba as he turned around to face the dance floor. Come on, they rented out the hottest nightclub in the Leaf Village for us, the Hero Generation, the Konoha 11. I still don't understand why they still call us that. I mean, Sai, Karen and Tamari are counted as the Konoha 11 inches when that raises the total to 14, and one of them isn't even a leaf ninja yet, explained Naruto as Kiba rolled his eyes. Man, that sounds like something Shikamaru would say, and it still doesn't change the fact that this is a party, said Kiba as Naruto turned around away from the bar and looked out to the dance floor. From this spot he could see his female teammate and longtime crush dancing on the floor. His heart picked up its pace as his eyes scanned his pink angle, Sakura Haruno. She was dressed to party with a bright red top with 2 straps which wrapped around her neck before coming together in a white diamond in the center of her chest. She had her bright pink hair pulled back into a short ponytail which was held there by a white band. She had 1 white shorts which didn't even go past her knees. She had gotten rid of her normal boots and now had 1 pair of high-heel shoes. You still love her, don't you? Asked Kiba as he followed his friend's eyes. You know you could easily take her home with you. Hell, you could take any unmarried woman, possibly most married one in the village if you wanted to. No, she is Sasuke's girl, corrected Naruto sadly as Sakura was joined by her best friend Ino. Like Sakura, Ino was dressed to party with a deep purple top with an open back which went halfway to her tight ass. Naruto couldn't help but think about what he could do with her. The two friends began to dance together as the music changed. Well, you could always try Ino, offered up Kiba. No, she dated Sai and I am not going to do that to him, explained Naruto as Kiba slapped his forehead. The two blonde-haired ninjas had gotten closer when they did covert missions during the war. They broke up after 10 dates over 2 years ago, pointed out Kiba, and she hasn't dated anyone else since. Besides, I am sure Sai would be cool with it. I will admit I have thought about it, confessed Naruto. Well, you couldn't do much better. She is arguably the one of the sexist women in the village, pointed out Kiba. I would put her in a C cup easily, maybe even a small D and at least an 8 out of 10 ass. For at least a 9.5 out of 10 total. Do you have to break women down into parts? Asked Naruto as he took another drink only to find it empty. I am a dog, admitted Kiba with a grin. Can I get another drink for my friend here? Sure, answered the bartender as another beer slid down the bar table to Kiba's hand, who handed it to Naruto. Thanks, said Naruto as he took another drink. Besides, you just want me to end up with Sakura or Ino so you can finally get Hinata. Kiba said nothing as he turned his head to look toward his female teammate, Hinata Hyuga. He tried not to faint as he saw that she was wearing the most provocative thing that the shy Hyuga clan heiress had ever worn in public. It was a skin-tight strapless blue dress which went down to her knees. So are you going to break her down? Easily double D's correct, laughed Naruto as Kiba shook his head. And I love her in every way possible, not just for her body, explained Kiba as Hinata waved to Naruto. Naruto waved back at her, causing a huge blush to cover her face. I just wish she saw someone other than you. Kiba, I don't see her that way, admitted Naruto. I mean, yeah, she is drop dead hot, but I just don't feel that way for her. Well, she will not give up on you until you're with someone. Maybe not even then, explained Kiba as he and Naruto took another deep drink. End flashback. I must have passed out when I got home, thought Naruto as he noticed how sticky he felt. I could really use a shower. I must not have taken one last night, but then again with this heat wave I might have already. Either way, I need another one. Glad to see you're finally awake, said a voice in Naruto's head which he had gotten used to over the years. What do you want, Kyuubi? Asked Naruto to the nine-tailed demon fox who had been sealed within him just after his birth by his own father. It was the Kyuubi which had turned him into a huge target, but the Kyuubi's power had also saved him multiple times. So you really don't remember what happened last night? Laughed the Kyuubi in his head. I drank too much, came home and passed out, said Naruto. And where were you? I thought you removed alcohol from my body faster than a normal human, the whole toxin thing. I had other things to do. Last night was a long time in the making, explained the Kyuubi. I am sure you remember it all in time. It isn't every night that the arc opens. What are you talking about? Asked a confused Naruto. The arc. Did you really think that there were only 9 demons? Laughed Kyuubi. No, there was once a whole society of demons which ruled this world. All the tailed beasts are just representatives of the different races. Right, said Naruto, not believing it. If that is true, then where are they now? Most died when the world became uninhabitable, explained Kyuubi. To save ourselves, the few of us that remained sealed ourselves away in the ark and waited for the world to heal so that we could return. Last night it was opened, releasing the demons within. Demons are coming? Asked Naruto. No, they are already here, corrected the Kyuubi. Then why aren't we under attack? Asked Naruto. This better not be some sick joke when I am hungover. The others were sealed too long in the ark, so modifications were required, explained Kyuubi, and that is where things get interesting. They had to take humans in order to save our race. What are you talking about? Asked Naruto. Basically, last night thousands of people around the world were chosen by the demons which had made it through the years in the ark, and they bonded with them the same way I am bonded with you, stated Kyuubi. Thousands of Jinchuriki? Asked Naruto. Yes, answered the Kyuubi as Naruto thought about how 9 were used as weapons and how they were the source of the last war. If what the Kyuubi said was true, there were thousands of them now. Don't worry. Truth be told, most of the demons which were saved are civilians, not warriors, so their chakra strength is only around a 1 or a 2 tails, and they probably joined with humans that best match their personality or jobs. They just want to rebuild their lives and have families, answered Kyuubi. Nothing a group of highly trained can't handle, but the higher level tailed demon who themselves were warriors joined within trained ninja would be a major threat. My god, thought Naruto. Don't worry, they are not a threat, well, to us at least, said Kyuubi. Us? Asked Naruto. I am their ruler, explained Kyuubi, and by the mere fact that I am sealed within you, makes you their ruler, which their demons by honor have to follow. I am just an Anbu captain, not some sort of king, answered Naruto. You don't know everything yet. See more than a few bonded with people you know, and that is partly why you can't remember what happened last night. My friends? Asked Naruto. Why bond with my friends? Mostly the demons who bonded with your friends are my friends and the most important members of my government, explained the Kyuubi. Your government? Asked Naruto. A ruler can't rule a nation without advisors and aides, explained Kyuubi as if it was the stupidest question he had ever heard. How do you know that? Asked Naruto as he suddenly felt something move behind his back. He turned his head slightly to see a slender female hand was stretched out under his neck. Naruto's heart started racing as he realized what was going on. As he recognized the silver bracelet, he was at her 21st birthday party when her father gave her that. Because the victory party became a reunion party when the demons bonded with them, explained Kyuubi. However, Naruto wasn't paying much attention to the fact that his eyes were locked on the dresser. There, partly hanging off the edge, were 2 different color bras beside his pair of orange boxers. One bra was made of red lace with black outlines, the other was strapless deep purple with white. Did I forget to tell you that I have 2 mates? You would call them girlfriends. Girlfriends? Stuttered Naruto as he slowly looked down only to see 2 of his female friends, Sakura and Ino's sleeping face, both of whom were snuggling into his shirtless chest. Both of them had smiles on their sleeping faces. Sakura was to his right with one of her hands on his chest and the other near his belly button with her head resting on the soft spot of his neck. Ino had one hand under his neck while the other was wrapped around her chest with her head resting on his shoulder. You have 2 girlfriends? Well, if you want to get technical, they are ladies of the court, not girlfriends, answered Kyuubi as Ino moaned a bit in her sleep as Sakura moved ever closer to Naruto. The 2 best friends' faces were now within inches of each other. Besides, it's only 2. Only 2, yelled Naruto back as he noticed that one of his hands was on Sakura's stomach right below her breasts and his other hand was on the small of Ino's back. Yes, see? Unlike humans who are pretty much split 1-to-1 among males to females, demons are more along the lines of 1-to-3, so most males have multiple females. And that was even before the war. Now I believe it is almost 1-to-5, explained Kyuubi as Naruto's heart race was racing a mile a minute as he noticed that his 2 friends' eyes were slowly opening, first Ino's blue eyes followed second later by Sakura's green. Look on the bright side. You went from having no girlfriend to having 2 in one night. You made that perverted master of yours proud. What do I do? What should I do? Thought Naruto as Sakura lifted her head off Naruto's chest. Her eyes opened just a little bit as she scanned the room. It was as if she could realize what was going on around her. Her eyes grew wider as she realized where she was and who she was with. At the same time, Ino was lifting her head up from Naruto's body. Sakura jumped out of bed, ripping off most of the thin blanket wrapping herself up. The sudden action caused Ino to wake up as she followed Sakura's idea, wrapping herself up in the closest thing she could find, which happened to be a towel. For the moment, Naruto just lies there looking up at 2 women wrapped in a thin blanket and a towel. Naruto, you baka, what happened? Yelled Sakura before she looked at Naruto's privates, and for God's sake cover yourself. Or not, it's a good view for me. grinned Ino with a look that would normally be on a guy's face. Do you understand what just happened? Stated Sakura with a deep red blush that covered her whole face. Yeah, forehead, the three of us got very drunk, things got a little personal, and in the end we had a three-way, explained Ino as if it was nothing. Unless somehow you think Naruto is the kind of guy who wrapped both of us in his own house and then tied himself to the bed frame using some of our own clothes. What? Asked Naruto as he looked down and noticed that his left foot was partly wrapped in a knot which was tied around one of the bed frame posts. He looked toward his right to see a similar restraint had come undone. Up near his headboard was a pair of arm restraints, both of whom had been undone. No, admitted Sakura. Besides, we just banged Naruto-kun, so what if we had to share him with Piggy for a night? Added her perverted inner self. What matters is that we slept with him. Besides, we are all consenting adults here, explained Ino as she walked over, dropping her towel as she moved past Naruto, giving him a wink as she strutted her stuff. Naruto couldn't help but run his eyes up and down the tall, hot blonde woman in front of him. One feature which stood out was the single rose tattoo on her butt. It's clear by the box of empty condoms that we were at least smart enough to use protection. So what's the big deal? We had some fun. No shame on you, demanded Sakura as Ino put on her deep purple bra and pulled on her similar shaded string bikini bottom. I come from a family of memory walkers. We are kind of an open book, explained Ino as she turned around and looked at her friend as she pulled her hair back into her normal ponytail. And we are each other's roommates, so what's the big deal? Ino titled her head a bit as she looked at the stunned expression on her best friend's face. Even Naruto seemed stunned. What? Asked Ino. Take a look at your eyes, Ino, explained Sakura. My eyes? Asked Ino as she turned around and looked into the dresser mirror. Her eyes widened as she saw that her eyes had changed. They no longer had rounded pupils, instead they were silted like her cat's. Let me take a look, explained Sakura as she walked forward, still holding the blanket close to her nude body. She pulled Ino's gaze away from the mirror and toward her as she looked into them. I was never that interested in optometry, but apart from the fact that the eye colors are still light blue instead of red, they look just like Naruto's eyes when he has the nine-tailed cloak. I don't know how. Well, forehead, you better figure it out since you have it too, pointed out Ino as Sakura turned her gaze to the mirror only to see, though her wild messy hair, that her eyes were now slighted like Ino's, only they remained her deep shade of green. What the hell? Asked Sakura as she turned around to see that while the women were looking at their eyes, Naruto had slid on an orange pair of boxers. Sakura couldn't help but look at his toned body. If what he had wasn't a six-pack, it was close enough. What did you do? It wasn't me, answered Naruto as he held his hands out. Both noticed that Naruto's deep blue eyes were slighted too, just like theirs. Then explain to us why after we had sex we have slighted eyes just like the Kyuubi, demanded Ino. Your eyes aren't his doing but mine, said a female voice in Ino's mind. Trust me and do your clan's mind right. Ino had no idea why she followed the voice, but she did as she grabbed both Naruto's and Sakura's hands as she activated her family's mind link, which allowed two or more people to share thoughts for a couple of minutes. She closed her eyes as this took effect, and the three of them found themselves now fully dressed, each of them standing in front of a large darkened stone hallway. Where are we? Asked Naruto. Mind link just, explained Ino as she crossed her arms over her purple top. This is a natural ground where all three people can share information and explore each other's mind. How? Asked Naruto. The hallway behind you leads to your mind, explained Ino. Why did you do that? Asked Sakura. Because she was asked to, said a new voice coming from behind Naruto as all three of them looked down the hallway which led into Naruto's mind, as out of the shadows came an almost totally orange fox with black marks running from his eyes to his ears and 9 tails moving behind him. I thought you were locked away, stated Naruto as he prepared to fight, but Kyuubi rolled his eyes as he walked past Naruto before sitting down beside him like some extra large dog. Calm down, Kit. To harm you is to harm myself, so I have reason to do it, explained Kyubi, and I have already told you why I won't hurt your two girlfriends. Why not? Asked Sakura as she suddenly felt something brush against her leg. She turned around only to see a light red fox only a few shades darker than Sakura's own hair with a pure white stomach, with white tips on each of her 7 tails. The fox wasn't as large as the Kyubi and was more slender and more womanly as she sat down beside Sakura and looked into Sakura's eyes with her own green eyes. Because of me, answered the fox with a warm smile which shouldn't have belonged to a creature with so many bright white sharp teeth in her mouth. Who are you? Asked Sakura. Hello Sakura Haruno, I am Ayala, answered. Another tailed fox. Asked Ino, but how? You may want to look behind you first, said the voice which she had heard in her mind just moments ago. Her blue eyes widened as out of the darkness of her own mind came a female fox with smooth warm lavender fur with white fur over her feet and deep light blue eyes. Like Sakura's fox, this one too had 7 tails. However, as the fox moved to sit beside her, it became clear that her fox was slightly smaller in size but with longer fur which looked almost stylized. Hello Ino Yamanaka, I am Lydia and I am your demon. My demon? Asked Ino. Yes, both of you, just like 1,000 others, are now what you humans call Jinchuriki, which is why your eyes are slighted, answered Ayala as both Ino's and Sakura's eyes widened at the news. What are you talking about? Asked Sakura confused. We can't be Jinchuriki, there are only 9-tailed beasts and the only ones still alive are Naruto's and Killer Bee. Did they really think that there are only 9 demons? Asked the demon inside Ino, Lydia as she looked at the Kyubi. They did, answered the Kyubi as all 3 demons laughed at the humans' express. So they had no idea about the ark? Asked Ayala. The ark? Asked Sakura to the demon. We don't know if it was a new use during our Great War or something else, but suddenly the skies darkened and ash began to fall. Forests around the city burned and the water itself became undrinkable. Our race was dying, so we used our most advancing sealing just to seal ourselves away inside the ark. They're suspended in time, we would wait for the world to heal itself, explained Ayala, then once the world was healed we would rebuild what we lost. However, things didn't go as planned, explained the Kyubi, the timer which was to release us must have been damaged, we were sealed too long. I and 8 other advance guards were released later than we were supposed to be, then we were captured by humans and unable to open the ark and free everyone else. We should thank whoever freed us, laughed Lydia. Why make us Jinchuriki? Asked Ino. We had to, explained Lydia, we were sealed too long and the seal was losing chakra power so it couldn't contain everyone sealed within, so it started killing the demons within to save the group as a whole. The numbers got too low to repopulate normally, so a new plan was put into place, stated Ayala. We use humans as sort of go-between when it comes to reproduction. What? Asked a confused Naruto. Even though we live as one society, foxes can only have kits with foxes and so on down the line of the demons. However, the numbers of certain races are so low that they can't support a population with what is left, explained Ayala. However, if we are joined with humans, we believe that a fox can have a kid with another race and the demon child they create will be joined with the human child that is created between the humans. You are using humans as breeding machines, stated Sakura. More like nurseries, explained Ayala. The newborn demon would be a different child than the human child, basically they will be born Jinchurikis. That is why we can't remember what we did last night. You 3 took over, stated Ino, and that is why we had threesome. In a way, we loosened some of your restraints and parts of our fillings added to yours, admitted Lydia. Basically we only did what deep down all 3 of you wanted to do, added Kyubi as all 3 humans blushed. Still what you did isn't right, added Naruto. We are trying to save our races, explained Kyubi, and it isn't like we aren't giving you anything in return. Since we are linked to you now, not just sealed within you when you die, we die, that will cut our lives much shorter and make yours much longer. What? Joined is different than sealed? Asked Sakura. We are not prisoners within you. Think of it as a symbolic relationship. We get a way to keep our population alive and you get our strength on top of long life. Explained the Kyuubi. Why do you think the Uzumaki clan was known for long life? It was because some of their members had me sealed within them or had some of my chakra leaked into their bodies. A likely longer life. Correct Ayala, we can't be sure that is a direct link. Come on Ayala, what else could it be? Asked Lydia. A longer life. Asked Sakura. We demons live for hundreds of years. Our rate of aging is a lot slower than yours. If what we believe is correct, when we joined with you we added around an extra 100 years to your life. Stated Ayala, your average human lives to be around 80, so your lifespan would be around 180 years. I don't want to live 200 years, I saw how my grandma looked at 90. I can't imagine what 2 times that looks like. Stated Ino as Sakura rolled her eyes at her best friend. You and your looks. Stated Sakura, not wanting to admit that she was wondering the same thing. Don't worry. Stated Lydia, your rate of aging will slow too, so when you're 60 you look 30 and when you're 80 you look 40 and so on. Oh, that works. Said Ino. Wait, how can you know that? Asked Sakura as she looked at Ayala. I was a chief medical researcher, that is partly why I joined with you. Explained Ayala with a smile. I can't wait to share all the medical information I have with you. Wait, I never said I wanted this, said Sakura as she put her hands up. You don't really have a choice, no one we joined with did. Explained Lydia, you're Jinchuriki whether you like it or not. So you might as well get used to it. I have just 2 questions. Said Ino as she crossed her arms over her chest. Only 2? Asked Lydia. For the moment. Admitted Ino as she looked at the purple and white fox. First, that other fox said she was a medical researcher, so what job do you and the Kyuubi have? Well, I pretty much held a position not unlike your Hokage. Explained Kyuubi, which is partly why I work with the brat. Just kind of lucked out there, I guess. I never had the choice of scanning minds to find the right one. Scanning minds? Asked Naruto. There is a certain justice that can give people a readout of people's minds. You can't get people's memories, but you can get their likes, dislikes and loves. Explained Ino before glaring at the fox beside her, used mostly in integrations to find out which buttons to push to get the information. Sorry, but it has to be done so that we join with the right people. Explained Kyuubi. As for what I do, basically I was the daimyo of the country we ruled. Explained Lydia, hoping the news would make Ino happy. Nice. Said Ino as she looked at Sakura. You may have a doctor, but I have a daimyo sealed within me. Sakura rolled her eyes at her best friend. They had always been competitive, comparing almost everything from clothes to who had the smoothest hair and when they got ordered who looked more womanly. Now she was comparing the job of the demon joined with them. I do have that over my friend, but she is first, I am second. Said Lydia as she looked at Sal with the same look Ino had for Sakura, for now at least. First, second? Asked Ino. Let me guess, it has to do with the multiple girlfriend thing. Asked Naruto as he looked at Kyuubi. Multiple girlfriends? You mean this wasn't just some random threesome? Asked Ino as Lydia shook her head. No, before we sealed ourselves in the ark all 3 of us lived together. Explained Lydia. Well, that answers my second question. Stated Ino. Wait, why would he have multiple girlfriends? Asked Sakura. Simply put, when it comes to demons there are naturally 3 females to every 1 male, so a male having 3 or more wives and or girlfriends isn't uncommon. Explained Allah. In fact, in the past some of the Kyuubi's ancestors had hundreds of mates. But those days have passed. Personally, I don't know how my ancestors handled all those vixens. Explained Kyuubi. 2 is just right for me. Still 2? Asked Sakura. You get used to it. Added Lydia as suddenly a loud knocking noise filled the room. What is that? Asked Naruto. Someone is at your door. Answered Ino as she deactivated and the 3 of them opened their eyes to see Naruto's bedroom just the way they left it. The sound of someone knocking on the front door caused all three of them to jump a bit. Answer the door, ordered Sakura as Naruto moved toward the bedroom door. Wait, ordered Ino as Naruto stopped only to have a bathroom robe fall over his face. Put this on, first Yubaka. Thanks, whispered Naruto as he moved out of the bedroom and into the living room and toward the front door, leaving the two almost nude women standing in his bedroom. Okay, what are we going to do? Asked Ino. First we get dressed and go from there, stated Sakura as she picked up her own undergarments. I am betting that it is a massager from Lady Tsunade calling a meeting about the demon thing, since we can't be the first people up. I know, forehead. I was thinking about how are we going to explain to everyone why we are wearing the same clothes from last night? Asked Ino as she picked up her skirt. Oh, I hadn't thought about that, admitted Sakura. You could just stop by your apartment and change quickly, offered Alice in her Sakura's head as she slipped on her bra before putting on her top. We could go out the window and get to our apartment, change before we go to the meeting, offered Sakura. Lydia just offered up the same idea, added Ino as she worked on her hair. I have to admit this seems kind of neat. Let's deal with one thing at a time, ordered Sakura. Outside the bedroom door, Naruto had just opened the door to see an Anbu standing there waiting for him. The sunlight coming in was so bright that Naruto had to shield his eyes with his hands. Morning, sir, said the Anbu as he moved to stand in front of the sunlight so that his Anbu captain could see. The Hokage requires you in an important meeting. Something is going on with the villagers. I have a feeling I know what it is, stated Naruto as the Anbu noticed his captain's eyes. The Anbu pulled his sword as Naruto stepped back. What the hell? Sir, you need to come with me, ordered the Anbu. You have whatever the others have and you need to be contained. Listen, I know what is going on, just give me a few minutes to change and we will go to the Hokage together, offered Naruto, unless you want me to go in front of the Hokage in only my boxers and a bathroom robe. I am sorry, sir, but people have been hurt by whatever you have, stated the Anbu. What is he talking about? Asked Naruto. I guess not all the integrations went smoothly, stated Kyuubi. I thought all that happened last night, asked Naruto. It can take a while for the demons to find someone who matches up with them. In the case of your friends, it was easier since a lot of my friends and advisors had similar personalities as them, explained Kyuubi as he looked at the sword which was now only inches away from his chest. Stand down, yelled a voice as one of Naruto's friends, Rock Lee, appeared, as slowly the Anbu lowered his sword. Why have you drawn your weapon against one of the most youthful ninjas in this village? Commander Lee, the captain has silted eyes, explained the Anbu. One of the signs of whatever this is the changing of the eyes. Why doesn't he say silted eyes? Asked Naruto. Like I know everything about everything, talk to Sakura and Ayala. They are the doctors after all, pointed out the Kyuubi. I can see that, stated Lee. However, I see no harm in letting him get dressed. Sir, all infected persons are supposed to be isolated in the hospital, and as soon as Dr. Haruno is located, she will begin treating them, stated the Anbu. And she would be better able to treat Naruto if he is dressed, stated Lee. Now go get dressed and then come with us. Alright, I'll leave the front door open if that helps put your mind at ease, said Naruto as he turned around to head back to his bedroom. When he entered, he found Ino and Sakura just finished getting dressed. Naruto said nothing as the two kunoichi looked at Naruto as he pointed first to his Anbu uniform and then to a photo of him and Lee standing watch by the main gate together. Both of them got the meaning that an Anbu and Lee were at the door. Should we talk to them? Lipped Sakura, knowing that while not the best at reading lips, Naruto would get what she was asking. She got her answer as Naruto shook his head before heading toward his closet. Suddenly Sakura felt some hot breath on her ear. Enjoy the show, forehead, whispered Ino into her best friend's ear. As Sakura noticed that Naruto had dropped the bathroom robe, her eyes moved up and down the blonde hair ninja's body from his muscle legs to his washboard stomach. You're wishing he didn't have on that orange pair of boxers, said Ayla voice in Sakura's head. Of course, added inner Sakura. Great, now I have another voice in my head to deal with, added Sakura as Naruto slipped on his pants before putting on his skin-tight black t-shirt. Both Kunoichi watched as Naruto started looking around on the dresser as if he was looking for something. Naruto, what is taking so long? Yelled Lee's voice from the other side of the bedroom door. I am having some trouble finding the necklace that the old hag gave me, yelled Naruto back. Well, hurry up, yelled Lee back as Naruto kept looking for the necklace of the first Hokage. Both women joined the hunt for the necklace, until finally Ino found the necklace. Here, lipped Ino as she tossed the necklace to blonde-haired ninja. Thanks, lipped Naruto back before putting on his Jonin jacket and then the necklace. Are you about done? Asked the ANBU's voice from the other side of the door. 30 seconds. Replied Naruto as he reached into his closet and pulled on his red and cloak with the black flames running across the bottom. The same one he had worn when he took down Pain almost 4 years earlier. Quickly Naruto pulled out a pad and paper before writing down a quick note before placing the pad down and heading out the door. The two women looked at each other as they heard the front door close as Naruto, Lee and the other Anbu left. What is going on? Asked Sakura. I have no idea, answered Ino as she walked over and picked up the note which Naruto had written. Believe eyes are a sign of a disease looking for Sakura and everyone infected, collecting everyone going to see the old lady. Read into. Great, that means there are probably at least a dozen of Anbu teams out looking for people who now have demon chakra, stated Sakura. How am I supposed to get past them? I mean they will be all over our apartment so I can't go there for a change of clothes. I don't think we should try to get past them, added Ino as her best friend simply looked at her as Ino sat down on Naruto's bed. I mean we can't get past them and we might as well turn ourselves in and explain what is going on. I am not walking up to someone and saying hello, I know my eyes are silted but don't worry about it, I just have a demon inside of me now, exclaimed Sakura as she threw her hands up in the air. Have you just thought about using it to hide your eyes? Asked Ino as Sakura blinked. I thought not. Why didn't I think about that? Asked Sakura. Because you were so focused on how to get out of here without being noticed, explained the demon vixen in her head Ayla as suddenly Ino broke out laughing. What is it, Piggy? Asked Sakura. Nothing, just Lydia told me that your demon. Ayla freaked out the first time the three of them did it because she lost some lotion, answered Ino. Sorry, but from what Lydia has told me you two are a match when it comes to personality, always worrying about the stupid small details. Well, you two seem to be getting along great, stated Sakura. Aren't you just a little bit worried about the fact that we are both now? Not really, answered Ino. I mean apart from the fact that our eyes have changed and we have more than 3 ways, I don't see how our lives really change. And you think 3 ways isn't that strange? Asked Sakura. Not really, no, not that much. I remember overhearing my mom saying that when she and my dad were dating she had a 3-way with one of her friends, admitted Ino as Sakura just blinked. You just lied to them, said Lydia's voice in Ino's head. I know, I just love messing with her head, explained Ino as Lydia laughed a bit. You and I will get along great. By the way, Forehead and Piggy, are those your nicknames for each other? Asked Lydia. Yeah, she is and I have been best friends since preschool, explained Ino before turning her attention back to Sakura. So do you remember anything? Asked Ino. About last night. Flashback, mature. Sakura let out a breathless moan as she felt a strong hand run down her side before another hand grabbed her ass, causing her to yip a bit. Naruto-kun, moaned Sakura as her hand moved down her blonde-haired teammate's back, before jumping up and grabbing Naruto's head by the back and pulling him into a deep kiss. Don't hog his forehead. Save some of me, ordered a female voice as she pulled Naruto out of their kiss and turned his gaze away from her green eyes to another pair of blue ones. Sakura watched as Naruto kissed Ino with the same amount of force and zeal, Sakura smiled as she planted a kiss on Naruto's neck as one of Ino's hands moved down to her inner leg as the three of them moved backwards into Naruto's darkened apartment. End flashback, end mature. By the blush on your face I'll take it as yes, answered Ino. Well, do you? Asked Sakura. Not really, not yet, answered Ino as she stood back up. Man, I could really go for a nap, I am sore as hell. Because of everything we did last night, explained Lydia. I mean, how long were you apart from Kyuubi anyhow? Asked Ino to her demon. Too long, answered Lydia. While Ino and Sakura were trying to figure out their next move, Naruto was jumping from rooftop to rooftop as he moved toward the Hokage building located near the center of the village by the Hokage mountain. He was jumping over the almost empty streets of his home village. He couldn't help but notice that once again the heat wave had claimed another day. He had been outside for only a few moments and already sweat was rolling down his back and staining his undershirt. Where do you think you're going? Asked the Anbu as Naruto turned his head to look at the Anbu. To meet with the Hokage, explained Naruto. You are heading to the hospital to be held in isolation along with everyone else showing signs of infection, stated the Anbu as Naruto came to a stop on one of the buildings. It isn't an infection, and even if you issued everyone who is showing signs it will not matter, stated Naruto as he looked into the eye holes of the Anbu mask. Now either contact the old lady and tell her I am on my way to her office or ask her where the hell she is so that I can meet up with her. Do it, ordered Lee as the Anbu switched on his radio to contact the main Anbu command center to find out where the Hokage was. Lee slowly moved toward his friend, who was now rubbing his eyes as the three of them stood on top of the building. You know what is going on, don't you, Naruto? I do and I don't, admitted Naruto as he turned his gaze toward his youthful friend. I know what is causing it, but I don't know who or what opened the ark and released them all. The ark? Asked Lee. It's complex, my friend, said Naruto as he placed his hand on Lee's shoulder, but don't worry, I will tell you and the Hokage everything I know. Does it have to do with last night? Asked Lee as Naruto looked at him. You kind of blew me off last night when I finally arrived at the party. I did? Asked Naruto. Yeah, you kind of walked out of the party, explained Lee. You must have been pretty drunk not to remember that. I don't remember much about last night, added Naruto. Flashback, mature. A shirtless Naruto was thrown down onto the bed with so much force he actually bounced a bit before coming to rest. He looked up to see Ino and Sakura standing at the foot of his bed. They had discarded their shoes and tops almost the moment they passed into Naruto's bedroom. So Ino, how do you want to do this? Asked Sakura as she licked her lips like a hungry predator as she looked at her blonde-haired teammate lying on the bed in front of her. I don't, offered Ino as she reached behind her head, which caused her bust line to expand a bit as she pulled off her hair, scrunching as her ponytail disappeared in a cascade of hair. Naruto sat up a bit as he looked at the two half-naked women in front of him. Sakura had on a deep red bra with black lace around the edges while Ino had on a deep purple strapless bra. Why not you two undress each other, then me? Offered up Naruto with a perverted grin which would have been a perfect fit on Jiraiya's face. Did you hear that? Forehead looks like Naruto as a pervert, said Ino. Good. Sakura as she grabbed Ino by her waist, pulling her toward her and into a deep kiss. Ino quickly returned the kiss as she started undoing the back of Sakura's bra while Sakura was unzipping Ino's skirt. Take it slow, let him enjoy the show, whispered Ino into Sakura's ear as she placed a love bite on her ear. I will, answered Sakura as Ino ran her hands down her back. While Ino and Sakura were making out in front of him, Naruto was growing restless. Finally he had it waiting as he grabbed both of them by the arm down on top of him. You two are taking too long, answered Naruto as the two women looked down at him. As Naruto looked into their eyes they started to change as their pupils became silted. Believe me, Baka, started Sakura. You will not have to wait any longer, finished Ino. End flashback, end mature. Well, nothing about the party at least, added Naruto to himself. Lady Tsunade is still in her office, reported the Anbu, and even after I warned her about the fact that you are infected, she wants you to meet her in the office. Alright, let's get going, answered Naruto as the three of them moved once again across the rooftops. Back at his apartment, a plan of what to do was coming into form. Alright, I'll head to the hospital. I have some clothes in my locker, said Sakura. However, I will have to avoid the main streets so that people don't see me. You are taking it too far, forehead. I mean, what is really wrong with the walk of shame? Asked Ino, unless you are actually ashamed. Like hell, we are not ashamed, yelled inner Sakura. It is never wrong to sleep with the person you love, reinforced Ayala. Maybe share it with you, said Sakura with a grin as Ino rolled her eyes at her best friend. Alright, so you will head to the hospital and I will head back to our apartment and change, stated Ino. They aren't looking for me. But they are going to be looking for people who have silted eyes, explained Sakura as Ino rolled her eyes and formed a hand sign. There, I did it. Did what? Asked Sakura. I cast it over my eyes, explained Ino as she opened her eyes. See. I hate to break it to you, Piggy, but your eyes are still silted, stated Sakura as Ino moved toward the mirror only to see that her eyes remained the same. I don't get it. I wasn't the best at it, but still, stated Ino. It's a fixed trait, isn't it? Asked Sakura. A what? Asked Ino. Sorry, I was talking to Ayala, explained the pink-haired ninja. Still, what is it? Asked Ino. In some cases, ninjas can't change certain parts of themselves with, we call that a fixed trait, explained Sakura as she crossed her hands over her chest. Normally it is something along the lines of hair color or gender, but it looks like for us it is our eyes. It marks us as. Not that it really matters, not that much, stated Ino with a shrug. Sure, people will ask us about it at first, but in time they will get used to seeing silted eyes. With that, Ino walked out of the bedroom and headed out of Naruto's apartment and into the blazing hot sun. She raised her hands over her silted eyes for a moment as her eyes adjusted to the bright sun. Maybe it was the sun which brought. Flashback, mature. Sweat rolled down her body as she fell down on the bed as she started to come down from the high she had just reached. She rolled over a bit as she snuggled toward the nearest source of warmth, which happened to be the man who had just finished pleasing her. That was amazing, moaned Ino as she rested her head on Naruto's shoulder. Told you I saved you some, moaned Sakura as she rested on Naruto's other side. Next time I go first, while you help, said Ino. We'll talk about it, said a half-asleep Sakura as both women felt Naruto's hands run down their backs. Sleep now, my vixens, said Naruto as he started to fall asleep. End flashback, end mature. Vixen, I like that, thought Ino as a tingle ran down her spine as she headed out. While Ino was walking down the streets, Sakura was preparing to head to the hospital. Naruto, flanked by Lee and the Anbu, entered the Hokage's office. Sitting behind her desk taking in all the information that was coming in, was the 5th Hokage of the Leaf Village, Lady Tsunade. The elder ninja had already announced that she would only serve one more year before stepping down. Surrounding her were some of the top ninjas in the village, including the two eldest of the Konoha Council, Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane. How many have been infected? Asked Lady Tsunade. The latest count is 120 people. Most of them are women and civilians, reported a doctor. However, that is almost 10 minutes old. Give me the latest count, ordered Lady Tsunade, and someone found Sakura. I can't do my job here unless she is doing her job at the hospital. It isn't an infection, stated Naruto as everyone turned and looked at him in his blue silted eyes. Lady Hokage, it appears that Naruto Namikaze has been infected, stated Kaharu as she stood beside Lady Tsunade. He must be put into confinement until we find out how to stop the spread of this infection. Naruto, this isn't an infection, asked Lady Tsunade as Naruto moved to stand right in front of her desk, the same desk that his father had sat behind before his death. No, Lady Tsunade, explained Naruto as he put his hands behind his back. It isn't an infection as you or anyone else knows. Truth be told, I am still trying to figure it out, but from what the Kyuubi has told me, even if you did contain everyone who has silted eyes, it will not matter. Why not? Asked Homura. Because those who have already been picked can't be unpicked and they can't spread it to another person, explained Naruto. Picked by what? Asked an Anbu. Well, according to the Kyuubi, it seems that we were wrong. The last two demons were not just him and the eight-tailed ox, explained Naruto as he took a breath. There are thousands of them who were sealed up in something called the Ark and it was somehow opened. Even if that is true, what does that have to do with anything? Asked the doctor. Because the demons joined with humans, finished Naruto as everyone's eyes widened. The people you put into confinement are really just new Jinchuriki? Asked Lady Tsunade. Yes. Finished Naruto, and according to the Kyuubi, some people ingrate with their demons sooner than others, which is why not everyone has shown yet. I see. Stated Lady Tsunade. Lady Tsunade, surely you can't believe this? Asked Homura. The Anbu commander needs to be put into isolation until we know what is going on. Lady Tsunade, if it makes you feel better, maybe I should go into containment until we all know what is going on, offered up Naruto. Thank you, Naruto. Maybe Sakura can confirm your story when she is found. Stated Tsunade as she noticed how the young man before her was acting. You know something else, Naruto? No, lied Naruto. Yes, you do. Stated Tsunade with a look like a mother who had caught her child stealing a cookie before supper. I'll tell you everything else I know, but I want to tell you alone, explained Naruto. Leave us, ordered Lady Tsunade. That isn't wise, Lady Tsunade, stated Kaharu. Leave us, ordered Tsunade again. Fine, stated Kaharu as everyone slowly left the room, leaving Tsunade and Naruto alone. Now talk, ordered Tsunade. The Kyuubi is their Hokage, which means the demons, explained Naruto. And what about Sakura? Asked Tsunade. I am assuming she has a demon in her. Yes, answered Naruto. I don't know where she is now, but last I saw her was in my apartment, this morning. You two slept together? Asked Lady Tsunade as she tried to hide her smile at the first good news of the day. Well, I had always hoped you two would find each other. And Ino, added Naruto as Tsunade stopped the mind sentence. What? Asked Tsunade as she blinked a bit, trying to make sure she heard right. And Ino, repeated Naruto. Turns out Sakura's and Ino's demons are the girlfriends of the Kyuubi, and I woke up this morning to both of them in my bed. I see, said Tsunade. Turns out that there are 3 female demons to every male, explained Naruto as he hoped to make himself sound less perverted even though he had just admitted to sleeping with 2 women at once. Well, that explains some things, stated Tsunade. What does that mean? Asked Naruto. A lot of the people we have in medical confinement woke up with 2 or even 3 other people sharing a bed, explained Tsunade. This was just the beginning, the real secret will unfold in the next episode. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hit the bell icon so you'll be the first to see what happens next. See you again in the next journey of Uzumaki Empire 2.0.